Most people believe they'll feel positive when life gives them a reason to. When things go right, when the money comes in, when the job works out, when the relationship is peaceful, when the past finally lets them go. But let me ask you something. What if life doesn't change anytime soon? What if the circumstances you're waiting on are the exact things you were sent to rise above? See, we've been sold the lie that positivity is a natural byproduct of comfort. But the truth is, positivity is not a feeling that arrives when everything's perfect. It's a discipline. It's a decision. It's a posture you choose even when everything inside you says collapse. You don't wait for light. You become it. I want you to imagine this. You wake up in the morning before you've even brushed your teeth. Your mind is already scanning. What's wrong today? What didn't get done yesterday? What am I behind on? That's not your fault. It's how your brain is wired. The human brain is hardwired for survival, not happiness. It's looking for threats, for danger, for loss. Your biology is ancient, but your power is modern, and you get to decide if you'll be driven by fear or led by focus. This is where most people lose the battle. They confuse emotions with direction. They think, if I feel tired, I should rest. They think, if I feel low, I should shrink. But here's what I've learned. Your feelings don't always tell you the truth. They often just tell you what's familiar. And what's familiar is not always what's right. Let's say your mood wakes up feeling foggy. Does that mean your mission disappears? Let's say your heart feels heavy. Does that mean your discipline is optional? No. You get to speak into your day before your feelings get the first word. When you're feeling low, positivity isn't fake. It's a form of leadership. You lead yourself through emotion, through uncertainty, through fog, and that's when real transformation starts to happen. Warriors don't rise because they feel like it. They rise because they've already decided what they fight for. I know some of you are thinking right now, but Jay, isn't that toxic positivity? Isn't it fake to smile through pain? No. Let me be clear. Forcing positivity isn't fake. It's maturity. It's emotional integrity. It's spiritual resistance. You are not pretending the pain isn't real. You are refusing to let it drive the car. Being positive doesn't mean ignoring the storm. It means becoming someone who refuses to drown in it. There were mornings when I was training as a monk where I'd wake up before the sun, barely able to move, physically drained, emotionally distant, mentally foggy. But I'd still go to the temple, still sit on the floor, still breathe through the resistance. Why? Because I wasn't meditating for how I felt. I was meditating for who I was becoming. And I want to offer that same mindset to you today. Because let me tell you what I've seen. The most powerful people I've met aren't the ones who've had easy lives. They're the ones who've trained themselves to smile through the struggle. They're not naive. They're not pretending. They've just realized that darkness isn't going anywhere. So they decided to carry light within themselves. You've got to stop waiting for the storm to pass. You have to become someone who dances in the rain. You have to stop saying, I'll be happy when, I'll be motivated if, I'll get serious as soon as, because let's be honest, we all know that someday is a graveyard for transformation. Here's what I want you to take from this. Positivity is not a mood, it's a muscle. And like any muscle, it gets stronger the more resistance it meets. Some of you are waiting for a new mindset to show up before you move. But your movement is what creates the new mindset. You don't feel strong and then act strong. You act strong and the strength follows. You don't feel grateful and then speak gratitude. You speak gratitude and eventually your heart catches up. This is not about denying reality. It's about choosing to see it through a lens of possibility, not paralysis. It's saying, yes, this is hard, but I'm harder. And let me tell you the most radical part. When you do this long enough, something strange happens. You become someone who doesn't just survive. You become someone who shines in the middle of the storm. The old you would have broken by now, but the new you, the one built on discipline, focus, and daily choices, that version doesn't flinch because that version of you has stopped waiting to feel different and started deciding to be different. So I want to leave you with this question. What would your life look like if you stopped waiting to feel positive and started living as if you already were? Would you speak differently? Walk differently? Lead differently? Love differently? Then start today. Don't wait for the mood. Become the movement. If this message resonated with you, drop your thoughts in the comments, share it with someone who needs it, and don't forget to subscribe for more conversations like this. Thank you for being part of this journey. Let's keep growing, not just when it's easy, but especially when it's not, because that's when it matters most. Have you ever noticed when negative thoughts show up, not when you're clear, not when you're centered, not when you're on a roll? No, they sneak in when you're exhausted, when your plans fall through, when the person you love pulls away, when you've just gotten back up and life hits you again, and they don't knock gently, they break down the door. You're not enough. You always mess things up. You'll never change. You're too late. They don't whisper, they shout, and if you're not grounded, you'll mistake that volume for truth. But here's what I want you to remember. Loud doesn't mean accurate. Persistent doesn't mean permanent. You are not your thoughts. You are the observer of your thoughts, and that is your power. Most people never learn this. They believe every thought that passes through their mind is a message from their soul. But the truth is, many of our thoughts are echoes of childhood wounds, past betrayals, failures, insecurities, cultural conditioning, even the pain of people who raised us. Just because a thought lives in your mind doesn't mean it belongs to your identity. I want you to imagine this. Your mind is a home. Your thoughts are visitors. Some come to clean and organize. Others come to throw paint on the walls and shatter the windows. If a stranger walked into your house with dirty shoes and started trashing the place, would you offer them tea and let them stay? Of course not. But that's exactly what we do when we entertain toxic thoughts. We don't just let them speak, we give them permission to stay. You've got to stop arguing with negative thoughts like they're wise mentors. They're not wise, they're thieves. Thieves of your peace, of your confidence, of your potential. You confront them the way you'd confront someone trying to rob your future. Ask yourself, where did this thought come from? Is it rooted in truth or just in fear? Does it align with who I want to become, or is it pulling me back into who I used to be? Because here's the real danger. When a thought stays too long, it stops being a visitor. It becomes a belief. And beliefs shape identity. That's how sabotage happens. Not because you're broken, but because you've started living like a lie is your truth. I remember back in my monk training, there was a day I felt completely worthless. I wasn't progressing fast enough. I wasn't getting it right. And the voice in my head said, maybe you're not meant for this. That voice wasn't quiet. It was relentless. But my teacher looked at me and said something I'll never forget. Jay, don't confuse discomfort with direction. You're growing, and growth rarely feels like peace in the beginning. That day I learned, when you feel resistance in your mind, it doesn't always mean something's wrong. Sometimes it means you're healing, and healing is noisy. Let's go deeper. How do you fight back? You don't fight thoughts with more thoughts. You fight them with truth. You fight them with your voice. Say it out loud. No, I am not my past. No, I am not defined by one mistake. No, I am not here by accident. And then say, I am learning. I am becoming. I am divinely designed, not randomly assembled. Speak those words even when you don't believe them yet. Because truth doesn't always feel true at first, but it creates the conditions for truth to emerge. Here's what I need you to know. Most negative thoughts thrive in silence. They grow in the shadows of avoidance. But the moment you name them, the moment you expose them, they lose their power. You don't have to believe everything you think. You don't have to absorb every emotion that floats through your mind. You get to be the gatekeeper, not the prisoner. Some of you have been living under mental attacks so long, you've stopped noticing. You think it's normal to wake up and feel shame. You think it's normal to assume the worst about yourself. You think it's normal to live in inner criticism disguised as self-awareness. But that's not normal, that's survival mode. And survival mode is not where you build a life of peace, purpose, or power. You have to come out of hiding. You have to say, enough. You have to interrupt the loop. Because if you don't, the voice of negativity becomes the narrator of your life story. And it doesn't stop there. Your beliefs shape your behavior. Your behavior shapes your habits. Your habits shape your destiny. It all begins with the thoughts you accept as true. So next time you hear the voice say, "You always fail," answer, "I failed, yes, but I always get back up, and that's what matters." "You're not lovable." Answer, "I'm worthy of love not because of what I do, but because of who I am." "You're stuck." Answer, "Maybe I'm not where I want to be, but I'm not where I used to be either. I'm moving." Don't let a passing thought become a permanent label. You are not lazy, you're healing. You are not weak, you're learning to rise again. You are not behind, you are right on time for your transformation. Your inner world doesn't shift because of motivation. It shifts because of truth repeated consistently. Even when it feels hard, you are not your thoughts. You are the one who chooses what stays and what goes. So stop waiting for the storm inside your mind to quiet down. Stand up in it, speak into it, challenge it, train it. Because when you stop letting fear write your script, that's when your story begins to change. What if I told you that most of the chaos in your life isn't caused by what's happening, but by what you're focusing on? See, your mind is a magnifying glass. Whatever you hold it over, pain, fear, opportunity, growth, it begins to expand. It becomes bigger than an island. Not because it actually is bigger, but because your attention gives it power. And here's the truth. Most people don't want to hear. Your focus is either feeding your weakness or fueling your transformation. There is no neutral setting. You are always watering something. The question is, are you watering your fear or are you watering your faith? Let's be honest. You don't become anxious by accident. You become anxious when your mind fixates on everything that might go wrong. You don't become bitter overnight. You become bitter when you rehearse past betrayals over and over again. You don't feel stuck because nothing's happening. You feel stuck because you've been staring at the same closed door for too long. What you focus on, you feel. What you focus on, you follow. What you focus on, you fuel. And that's why one of the most spiritual, powerful, and practical things you can do is train your focus. When I was in monk training, we were told to stare at a single candle flame for hours. Not because the candle held magic, but because the discipline of stillness, the commitment to single-minded attention, it rewired our brains. It made us stronger in silence, more grounded in chaos, more present in every room we walked into. We were learning the lost art of focus. And focus is a superpower in a distracted world. Let's break this down practically. When you focus on problems, you feel pressure. When you focus on possibilities, you feel perspective. When you focus on how far you have to go, you feel overwhelmed. When you focus on how far you've come, you feel empowered. You don't need more time. You don't need more motivation. You don't even need a better plan. You just need to stop leaking your energy into things that don't deserve it. Most of us aren't tired because we're doing too much. We're tired because we're focused on the wrong things for too long. Let me ask you a question. What are you giving your energy to that's not giving anything back? Maybe it's the opinion of someone who never supported you in the first place. Maybe it's the fear of a future that hasn't even happened yet. Maybe it's the constant comparison game that only leaves you feeling like you're not enough. If your focus is a limited resource, why are you wasting it on things that won't grow you? Here's something I live by. Energy flows where attention goes. If you want strength, focus on what builds it. If you want peace, focus on what nurtures it. If you want progress, focus on what grows it. Stop staring at what hurts. Start looking at what heals. Stop rehearsing your breakdown. Start visualizing your breakthrough. You cannot focus on your potential and your problems at the same time. One of them has to take the back seat. Now, let me be real with you. Focusing on growth doesn't mean you ignore your pain. It means you use it. It means you look at your situation and ask better questions. Not why me, but what is this building in me? Not how do I escape this, but who am I becoming through this? Better focus creates better thoughts. Better thoughts lead to better questions. And better questions lead to a better life. And here's the kicker. Your focus becomes your identity. You focus on how broken you are and you start calling yourself damaged. You focus on how far you've fallen and you stop believing you can rise. But you focus on growth You start seeing yourself as someone who transforms, who evolves, who adapts, who rises. That's the person the world needs, not the perfect version of you. But the focused version of you, let me challenge you to do something radical. Start taking inventory of your focus like your future depends on it, because it does. Look at your day. What are you feeding your mind in the first 15 minutes after you wake up? Is it inspiration or insecurity? Is it silence or chaos? Are you setting the tone or reacting to the noise? You don't plant a seed and walk away. You plant it, you water it, you protect it. That's what you need to do with your focus. Here's something I say often. You can't build a new life on old focus. If you want to live differently, you have to look differently. You have to interrupt the pattern. When your mind wants to drift to fear, bring it back to faith. When your thoughts want to spiral into what ifs, anchor them into what now. When your energy wants to chase every distraction, train it to return to discipline. This isn't easy, but the more you practice it, the more natural it becomes. Focus is not just about productivity. It's about peace. It's about clarity. It's about becoming someone who doesn't just react, but someone who leads from within. Let me leave you with this. You can't choose everything in your life. You can't control every circumstance, but you can always choose where you focus. And when you choose focus over fear, discipline over drama, growth over gossip, you create a life that feels like purpose, not noise. Train your focus and your life will follow. That's not philosophy. That's reality. That's neuroscience. That's spirituality. And that is your next step forward. There are days when positivity doesn't visit you. There are days when your mind feels like a battlefield, your heart feels like it's limping, and every thought in your head screams defeat. On those days, silence can be dangerous. Not peaceful silence, the kind that nourishes. I'm talking about the silence that follows surrender, the kind where you stop speaking truth because you're too tired to believe it anymore. Let me tell you something I had to learn the hard way. If you don't speak life into yourself, negativity will speak for you. And it won't whisper, it will shout. It will echo every wound, every regret, every limitation you've ever known. And if you're not careful, it'll start to sound like truth. But it's not truth. It's just noise. And the only way to cut through noise is with clarity, with intentionality, with your voice. You have more power than you think, not just in how you think, but in what you say. Because what you say is not just commentary, it's creation. Your words are blueprints. They build atmosphere, they shape energy, they shift reality. And most people, they're using their words like weapons against themselves. Let me show you how it happens. Someone gets frustrated and they say, I always mess things up. I'll never get better. I'm stuck. I don't even know who I am anymore. At first, they're just expressing emotion. But over time, those words don't just reflect reality, they start to define it. You say it enough times, and your mind makes a home out of it. Words are sticky. They attach to your identity. And if you're not careful, you'll end up imprisoned by the very language you once used to cope. So here's the truth. Your words are either reinforcing your suffering or building your healing. There is no neutral ground. That's why one of the most powerful things you can do, especially when you're struggling, is speak life out loud. Not just think it, not just journal it. Say it, hear it, feel it. Say, I'm not giving up today. I might be tired, but I'm still moving. I'm not a prisoner of my emotions. I am the architect of my mind. Even when your voice shakes, even when your heart doesn't believe it yet, even when the darkness around you says it's pointless. Because the moment you speak, you take back power. You interrupt the spiral. You remind your mind that you are in control, not the chaos. When I was living in the ashram, we practiced something called mantra meditation. It wasn't about wishful thinking. It was about spiritual discipline. Every single day, we spoke truth out loud, over and over. Not because we felt it, but because we wanted to feel it. Because the soul needs to hear what the mind tries to forget. That repetition created identity. It reminded us that even when the world forgot who we were, we didn't have to. you can do the same. Here's why this works. Your subconscious mind listens when you speak. Your nervous system calibrates to your tone. Your inner atmosphere shifts when you create sound from stillness. This isn't spiritual fluff. This is psychology. Science shows that your vocal affirmation rewires mental patterns faster than silent intention. Your voice is a trigger for physiological change. Your voice brings your intention to life. So why stay silent? I get it. Some of you are thinking, but Jay, it feels fake. I feel like I'm lying to myself when I say these things. Let me ask you this. Do you feel fake when you say, I'm tired? Do you feel fake when you say, I can't do this? No, you say it because it feels real in the moment, but feelings leave. So why trust the negative voice and call the positive one fake? The truth is, you're not lying, you're leading. You're not pretending you're practicing. You're not faking it, you're forming it. You are speaking from your future, not your failure. And here's what makes it real: specificity. Don't just say, I'm strong. Say, I'm strong enough to finish what I started today. Don't just say, I'm healing. Say, I'm healing from what they did and reclaiming my power. Don't just say, I'm growing. Say, I'm growing into someone who no longer settles for less than I deserve. Because vague words produce vague results. But specific words, they build specific transformation. Let's make this practical right now. Take a breath, place your hand on your heart, and say this out loud. Yes, right now, even when I feel broken, I still believe. Even when I feel alone, I still carry light. Even when I struggle, I still rise. I am not here to shrink. I am here to grow. I am not led by fear. I am led by vision. I am not done yet. I'm just getting started. How does that feel? Awkward at first? Maybe. But empowering? Absolutely. Because your soul remembers when you speak with intention. And here's the beautiful thing. The more you speak life, the more natural it becomes. Not because life suddenly gets easier, but because you get stronger. Your words will train your thoughts. Your thoughts will train your actions. And your actions will build a life rooted in truth, not trauma. One day, you'll look back and realize you didn't speak those words because they were true. They became true because you kept speaking them. So when the darkness creeps in, don't shut down, speak. When the spiral starts to pull you under, shout back. When your old identity knocks on your door, answer with a new declaration. Because in this life, you will face storms. You will face silence. You will face shadows. But if you learn to speak life into those moments, you'll never again be at the mercy of your mood. You'll be the master of your mindset. Let me ask you something personal, and I want you to answer honestly. If your life was a garden, what's the condition of your soil? Are you planted in nourishment or poison? Are you surrounded by sunlight or shadows? Because here's the hard truth most people ignore. You cannot become a stronger, more grounded, more positive version of yourself while living in a toxic environment. And I'm not just talking about places. I'm talking about the people you keep close, the habits you entertain, the content you consume, the conversations you absorb, the noise you let into your mind every day. Most people think their inner chaos is internal, like it's just them failing to be disciplined, focused, or calm. But the truth is, a lot of your mental battles are actually environmental. You're trying to meditate in the middle of a mental nightclub. You're trying to plant peace in the middle of digital chaos. You're trying to grow while the soil around you is polluted with gossip, doubt, distraction, and noise. And you wonder why you keep getting pulled back into patterns you thought you'd outgrown. Let's make this real. You wouldn't plant a tree in gasoline-soaked dirt and then blame the tree for not growing. You wouldn't put a goldfish in bleach and say, why isn't it thriving? So why are you blaming yourself for being drained, unfocused, or anxious? When your environment is built to keep you small, it's not your fault, but it is your responsibility. Because here's what most people don't realize. Environment always wins. You can have the strongest mindset, But if your surroundings are constantly working against you, that mindset will erode. It's not weakness, it's wiring. It's human nature. Let's talk about the people in your life. Are the people around you pushing you toward your highest self or pulling you back into your old identity? It's not enough for people to be nice. Do they challenge you to grow? Do they celebrate your healing? Do they respect your boundaries? Do they feed your vision or feed your doubt? Because some of you are staying loyal to circles that are keeping you sick. And you call it love, but it's really fear of outgrowing them. You can love people deeply and still create distance that protects your peace. Let me say that again. Distance is not disloyalty, it's clarity. If someone constantly clouds your clarity, you are allowed to walk away not with bitterness, but with wisdom. And it's not just people. Let's talk about your habits, the ones no one sees. What's the first thing you reach for in the morning, your phone or your focus? What kind of energy do you allow into your mind before your day even starts? Are you spending the first hour of your day scrolling through other people's lives, feeling behind, unworthy, or already anxious? You cannot create peace while consuming poison. You cannot generate clarity while entertaining chaos. And you cannot walk in purpose while soaking in distraction. Your inputs are shaping your identity whether you realize it or not. You have to become the guardian of your energy. What are you feeding your mind? Who has access to your emotional space? Where are you leaking power just to stay available, accepted, or validated? Some of you are so afraid of being alone that you're surrounded by people who are silently destroying your vision. But here's the thing, being alone is not the enemy. Being in the wrong energy. Island, let's go even deeper, your physical space. Is your environment supporting your transformation? You may think that cluttered desk doesn't matter. That chaotic room is just messy. That noise in the background is just normal. But listen, your nervous system doesn't see it that way. Your external space mirrors your internal space. When your environment is chaotic, your mind absorbs that energy. When your environment is grounded, clean, intentional, your mind reflects that too. Make room for silence. Make room for light. Make room for stillness. These are not luxuries. They are necessities, especially for a mind that is trying to rebuild. I'll tell you something I learned during my time as a monk. Before we meditated, we always cleaned the space, even if it was already clean. Why? Because clearing the space was an act of preparation, a way of saying, what's about to happen here matters. If you want transformation in your life, start treating your life like sacred ground. Don't just let anything or anyone walk through it. Make your environment match your vision. And here's what happens when you do. You begin to attract different energy. You vibrate at a higher frequency. You stop being magnetic to drama and start becoming magnetic to discipline. People who want to gossip will feel uncomfortable. People who want to grow will feel at home. And you won't even need to push people out. The shift in your environment will do it for you. That's not rejection, that's alignment. Now, let me be clear. This isn't about perfection. You don't have to cut off every person who challenges you or live in a sterile bubble. This is about protecting your internal atmosphere with intentional boundaries. It's about asking yourself, does this space I'm living in support the version of me I'm becoming? If the answer is no, then change is not betrayal, it's evolution. Here's your invitation today. Take inventory. Look around your life like you're walking through a sacred temple. What needs to be cleared? What needs to be cleaned? What needs to be removed, not with anger, but with grace? And most importantly, who in your life still deserves access to your most sacred space, your mind? Because if you're serious about becoming that next version of yourself, you have to build an environment that honors that version. You don't have to fix everything. You just have to be honest about what no longer fits. And when you surround yourself with light through aligned people, daily habits, and calming spaces, positivity stops being something you force. It starts becoming something you live in. And once that becomes your home, no darkness can make you forget who you are. Let's talk about pain. Not the kind you can shake off with a walk or distract with a coffee. I'm talking about the kind of pain that settles into your bones, the kind that keeps you awake at night, staring at the ceiling, wondering how things got this heavy, the kind that doesn't just break your heart, it tries to convince you that the best parts of you went down with it. We've all felt that. The pain of losing someone you love, the ache of watching a dream dissolve, the quiet frustration of waking up in a life that looks nothing like what you imagined. And in those moments, people will tell you, just be grateful, look on the bright side, focus on the good. And it can feel insulting because when you're in pain, gratitude feels like a foreign language. But let me tell you something I had to learn in my darkest season. Gratitude isn't the denial of pain, it's the transformation of it. It's not ignoring what hurts. It's refusing to let that hurt be the whole story. Gratitude doesn't say, this didn't break me. It says, yes, this broke me, but I built something with the pieces. When I was living as a monk, we had a phrase we'd repeat during difficult times. Thank you for this pain. It's shaping something in me I can't see yet. It sounded ridiculous the first time I said it. I was sitting alone, exhausted, lost in doubt, wondering if I had what it took to keep going. But something powerful happened when I said it out loud. I realized that pain wasn't the enemy. Avoiding it was, because every time I pushed my pain away, I missed the lesson. But when I met it with gratitude, when I stopped running from it and started listening to it, it started to shape me, not shatter me. Here's what I've found to be true. Gratitude is not for the easy days. It's for the days you want to give up. It's for the nights you feel forgotten. It's for the seasons where everything feels out of control. Because in those moments, when everything around you is falling apart, the smallest flicker of thankfulness can anchor your soul. A breath, a sunrise, a voice that stayed, a lesson you didn't see coming, a strength you didn't know you had. Gratitude isn't about pretending the pain is gone. It's about seeing that even in the fire, something beautiful is being forged. And the most powerful people I know, they're not the ones who had the easiest lives. They're the ones who learned how to look at the ashes and still say, thank you, this showed me what I'm made of. They're the ones who didn't let heartbreak harden them, who didn't let disappointment define them, who didn't let grief steal their gratitude. Because here's the truth, pain can destroy you, or it can develop you, and the difference is what you focus on. When you fixate on what was lost, you build a life around emptiness. But when you focus on what you learned, on what grew in you through the pain, you build a life on wisdom, on depth, on unshakable strength. I've met women who lost everything and became warriors of compassion. I've met men who were abandoned and became pillars for others. I've seen people go through unspeakable trauma and still smile, not because it didn't hurt, but because they chose not to stay hurt. They made a decision. I will not let this pain poison me. I will let it prepare me. Now, let me be clear. Gratitude in pain doesn't mean forcing a smile. It doesn't mean denying that something unfair happened. It doesn't mean rushing to move on. It means being courageous enough to say, this hurts deeply, but I'm still breathing. I'm still here. And there must be something in this pain I'm meant to carry forward, not as baggage, but as strength. It means allowing your suffering to expand your soul instead of shrinking it. Think about this. Some of the most valuable things about you, your empathy, your discernment, your patience, your resilience, they didn't come from your victories. They came from what you survived. You didn't build that kind of strength on mountaintops. You built it in the valleys, in the shadows, in the silent battles no one clapped for. And that is the kind of gratitude that changes lives. It doesn't make you feel better instantly. It makes you wiser permanently. So how do you start? You don't have to start big. You don't need a journal full of poetic affirmations. You just need one moment, one pause, one breath where you say, thank you for the lesson I didn't ask for. Thank you for the strength I didn't know I had. Thank you for showing me what I need to heal. Thank you, because even in this, I am becoming more. That kind of gratitude is raw. It's sacred. And it rewrites the narrative. It says, I am not the victim of this pain. I am the author of what it creates in me. And over time, as you keep choosing gratitude, not just for what feels good, but for what grew you, you'll realize something. Gratitude doesn't make pain disappear. It gives it a purpose. And when pain has a purpose, it loses its power to define you. Let me leave you with this. The world doesn't need more people pretending they're fine. It needs more people who are willing to say, I've been through the fire and I found something beautiful in the ashes. It needs more of you. Your story, your strength, your wisdom, born from pain, shaped by gratitude. Because when you rise with both scars and thankfulness, you become unstoppable. We've come full circle now. And if you've made it this far, still here, still listening, still showing up for yourself, then you already understand something most people never do. Positivity is not a luxury. It's a battle, a daily one. You don't just wake up with it. You don't just feel it when the weather is nice or when your to-do list is done or when everyone likes you. No real positivity, the kind that lasts, the kind that shifts atmospheres and transforms lives. That kind is forged in hard seasons, forged in late nights and early mornings, forged in grief and failure and silence and discomfort. It's not light because everything is easy. It's light because you chose it when everything inside you wanted to dim. Let's remove the mask and tell the truth. Life is going to test you, not once, not occasionally, but constantly. It's going to throw pain at you that you didn't plan for. It's going to place delays where you expected open doors. It's going to let people betray you, plans fall through, and dreams stretch far longer than you hoped. And in those moments, you'll have a choice. Will I let this shape me? Or will I let it shrink me? Will I react to life? Or will I rise from within? That's what this entire journey has been about. Section after section, we've peeled back the layers. We've talked about how positivity isn't a reaction to circumstances, it's a decision in spite of them. We've gone to war with negative thoughts and learned that we are not our emotions, we are the architect of our mindset. 2A, we've trained our focus to stop magnifying the pain and start magnifying the purpose. We've reclaimed our voice and learned to speak life even when our world feels dark. We've detoxed our environment physically, emotionally, mentally, and created space for clarity. We've discovered the power of gratitude in pain, not to escape, but to evolve. And now here we are, at the moment of integration, where we stop learning about positivity and start living it every single day. So let's get practical. If you want to live a life of grounded peace, deep resilience, and unshakable purpose, here are 5 questions to ask yourself every morning. What energy am I carrying into today, and does it serve who I'm becoming? What's one thing I can be grateful for, even if today feels hard? Who or what do I need distance from to protect my peace? What truth do I need to speak aloud, even if my emotions don't believe it yet? What will I focus on today, no matter what distractions come my way? You don't need to be perfect. You just need to be consistent, because transformation doesn't come from motivation. It comes from momentum. Small, daily, unglamorous steps taken in the same direction over time. Now, hear me clearly. You will have days where you forget, days when the darkness creeps back in, days when your thoughts betray you, days when your habits slip, days when you snap at the people you love, when you ghost your routines, when you spiral into guilt. But those days are not the end of your story. They are not failure. They are simply reminders to return to truth, return to discipline, return to light, return to you. One of the most powerful things I've ever heard is this: it's not what happens to you, it's what you do next. Not what you feel, not what you think, what you do. Because the old you might have shut down, the old you might have ghosted everyone, the old you might have let that thought spiral into shame, and that shame into silence. But the new you pauses, the new you breathes, the new you remembers you are not your worst day. You are the person who rose anyway. Let's call this what it island. Positivity isn't a vibe, it's spiritual discipline. It's your ability to say, I will not be ruled by my emotions. I will not be shaped by my circumstances. I will not be seduced by comfort or destroyed by delay. I will be led by vision. I will walk in purpose. I will stay in light even when it's hard, because that's when it matters most. Anyone can be positive when life is easy, but you are becoming the kind of person who radiates light when life is dark. And that kind of person is unstoppable. Now, before we close, I want to remind you of something sacred. This world is full of noise, algorithms, distractions, opinions, triggers. It is designed to pull your attention outward, but your power, your clarity, your transformation, they live inward. The more you anchor in that, in who you are becoming, the less this world can shake you. So from this moment on, I want you to live with this mantra. My positivity is not a feeling, it's a foundation. I build it daily. I protect it fiercely. I live it fully. Because you deserve to be someone who doesn't just survive this life, but someone who shines through it. Someone who builds something beautiful from every broken place. Someone who walks through fire and becomes light. Someone who carries peace like armor and purpose like fire. And when that's who you are, nothing this world throws at you can unmake you. So here's your final challenge. Every morning for the next 30 days, speak this out loud. I choose clarity over chaos. I choose peace over performance. I choose growth over excuses. I choose presence over pressure. I choose to be the person I said I would become. Say it even when you don't believe it. Say it, especially when you don't believe it, because the repetition will shape you and your voice will become your compass. This is your season to rise. This is your time to lead. This is your life. And it's not waiting for you to feel ready. Start building it now. Not with noise, not with perfection, but with quiet, consistent, fierce commitment to the light within you. Because when you build that, no darkness can take it away. Not ever.